Hello, Bookstall Sur friends. My name is Heather Robertson Devine. I am the founder of Bookstall Sur and currently the manager. I'm really excited to share with you today our book clubs. This presentation is divided into three parts. We like to keep it simple. It's divided into why we created the book clubs, the what are book clubs for, and how to use them. So three parts of them. You'll also find that there's some interesting discussion with our consultants and our consultant team, conversations about, translated literature and what kind of translated literature do we have? We have the best. Second conversation is about lesson plans, and there was one other interesting comment. So, and also relating this book club product to the Fontes and Pinel book club products. So enjoy. Please let us know if you have questions. Please reach out to your consultants in your area or to us at Bookstall Sur, sales@bookstallsur.com. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Today's presentation of Bookstall Sur's book clubs. This is a new product for this year. I'm very excited to share it with you. Let's get started. So today's presentation, much like last presentation, I'm going to share with you the why, the what, and the how of our book clubs. So why do we have these book clubs? First and foremost, just like our comprehensive read alouds, our goal is to support the three pillars of dual language. We support those three pillars with resources, with books. Our goal is to provide a diverse collection of books that are not already in the market, and so that there are more books.
Heather, are you saying we are the only source? So these books, we are the sole source of these books?
I certainly am. Yep.
All right.
So these book collections, we are sole source in two ways, Uriel. We're sole source in terms of the titles themselves, as well as the collections and the composition of the collections.
Okay,
themselves.
Great.
Yep, which is very exciting. And I'll go into a little bit more about the structures and how we think about books. So another reason for the why is our goal is to support what has been called balanced literacy. If you haven't read the latest Fontes and Pinel response to the science of reading and thinking about the science of reading, our goal is to support the comprehensive reader. We want to make sure that our collections of books support fully what it means to become a reader and a child in a dual language program reader through from kindergarten through high school. And yes, Nancy, we are working on that pre-K set for you too. So in that model, we know that the gradual release of responsibility is key, because we want students to really be able to be readers on their own. So the first collection I shared with you is the lesson, I Do It. So that's with teacher being led, that comprehensive read aloud collection, as well as we have our core Bookstall Sur collection in print and digital. And those core Bookstall Sur collections in print and digital are sole source. And then there is the guided instruction. Bookstall Sur currently at this point does not have a guided instruction collection. It is unlikely that would come anytime soon. I know that all of you work with some amazing companies that have worked very hard, diligently, thoughtfully to create guided reading collections, and as well as they support them with assessments. At this time, it's not something that we're really interested in creating, because we really enjoy working with our publishers in Latin America, and the reading levels and standards in Latin America are very different from those in the United States. So we want to, so at this time, we're leaving that space there for it to be held by other companies that all of you work with that are able to provide a comprehensive product.
Heather, I love this slide. Is there a way we could have a picture or something, this visual representation?
This This whole presentation is shared with you in the
Okay.
shared drive, but I'll make sure to send it out to all of you in an email so that you got the link. As I know, it's like searching for a needle in a haystack in our Google Drives. Yeah, this is it's just so fun to have these amazing logos to add to this slide. I don't know if you noticed in the bottom left corner, this slide is borrowed from my friends at the Department of Public Instruction in Wisconsin. Shout out. But I'm so excited today that we can share the book clubs because it really addresses collaborative literacy learning and doing it together as a group. One of my most favorite things about books is talking with kids about books, but even more amazing about it is listening to kids talk about books with each other. And that kind of recommendation or that kind of excitement is just infectious. And that's exactly what we want to make sure that our students are feeling. So today,
one of the things, Heather, that people have talked about in the past is that reading is a very social event. I mean, when you read something interesting, whether a paragraph, a newspaper article, or a book, the initial thing that you want to do is talk about it with somebody. And that's why, you know, everything here from the Comprehensive Read Aloud to the book club to the classroom libraries, it's that whole idea of really looking at reading as being a very social, you know, a social event. And again, that, as you said, the gradual release responsibility really does that, but it's about that language and talking about that.
Bert, I love that you said that because, you know, that is the culture that I grew up in. And so for me, like, that was just like the culture that I created in my classroom. It was just normal. Even to this day, I love it when my mom's like, oh, I just read How to Be an Anti-Racist. And, you know, and I'm just like, okay, mom, like, your reading is amazing. Like, but the fact that like, that's the norm of my conversation and that I can continue to support teachers to do that in the classrooms. And that's why we want to make sure we have this large, diverse collection of books. So, and honestly, the fact that it is social is so important to us, and us being in under this pandemic that we have going on, you know, now and in the previous year, it's really important that we continue to capture that in our spaces that are shared spaces like classrooms. So book clubs are collaborative, and if you'll notice too, they are not teacher directed. So that does mean that we don't need necessarily, we're not going to do them all the time in the classroom. Book clubs aren't going to happen all the time. And as well as we want to make sure that our students are prepared to be able to have these discussions. I will, in 2 weeks on Wednesday, I'll go over the classroom libraries and I'll share those with you. But for now, I'm going to move on. So I talked about this last time. I'm going to talk about it every time because at Books Sur, equity is an issue for us. And equity is one of the foundations of our work and the missions of our work. This is that, you know, very ugly photo of the 4th grade dual language classroom I worked in, and how the shelves on the left, those 3 shelves were English books, and then the 1 shelf on the right was the Spanish books. It was a 50-50 model. So in a 50-50 language allocation model, we should have equal resource allocation. And that's something that we really want to emphasize to the people that we're working with and our customers, to make sure that 50-50 resource allocation is equitable to the language allocation. And that goes without saying that we also want to think about that resource allocation in kinder on up, when some of our programs are not 50-50, they're 90-10. So if the language allocation in kindergarten is 90% Spanish, 10% English, our resources in the classroom should look that way as well, which is huge. That's a huge point. And I think that is, you know, something that we really need to work on in our programming. So, and then also something important to us is that we make sure that we have Spanish children's literature that addresses students and who students are and their sociocultural identity, as well as their sociocultural competency that they're continuing to grow. So we look at Spanish children's literature in 3 ways. We look at it as books that are translated into Spanish and most commonly from English. We do have some that are translated from other languages like Korean, Finnish, for example. But the books translated from English are also really important because they represent narratives of people in the United States. And as I've talked about before, they represent oftentimes children of color in ways that no one else can really do. So in this collection, we do not have books that are translated, nor do we have the bilingual books. In this collection, it is not a comprehensive book club, it's a core Bookstall Sur Book Club. So we just have books that are written in Spanish, in the red here, written by authors outside of the United States.
Wow, they're
Okay.
beautiful.
So
I have a question, Heather. For
sorry,
the first
Uriel?
one, yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
So the first books translated from English, are these, I know translated books is a bad word in my territory. I'm sure it's in other people's territory. Have
Same.
these been adapted to English? Should we be using the transadapted term instead of just translated? What can you tell me?
Yeah, Uriel, it's a really great question. It's a really hot topic. And I think the best way to address this question is people hold on. The complaint about translations is not as much in literature as it is in books that we use in the educational setting. So often our guided reading books and oftentimes guided reading books are used for read alouds, right? So that's where transadapted is really critical, is when we're talking about reading levels specifically. And so that's just one type of book. With literature books like these, Soñadores, let's just take that one for example.
Okay.
It's written by Yuyi Morales. Yuyi Morales identifies as a Mexican American. Yuyi is very astute to the fact of like she wants her books to be culturally competent. So and actually, and not to say that some authors don't, all authors do, but these types of books are published by publishing houses that specialize in literature. So their translations are thoughtful, their translations are fully vetted, and they're very high quality. So the language that you use to your customers, I mean, you know your audience, you know how to fill it out, but what I want you to ensure them is that this is literature. These are books that are published by people that specialize in spreading the love of language and spreading the love of reading.
And I think, you know, we fully understand that. I think where we want to be careful is when we're marketing and using the word translated books, because I understand that, and I could pick up a book and I could look at it and say it's beautiful, and the author did a wonderful job of really showcasing, you know, what he or she wanted to say in their books. But I think with marketing purposes, our folks in El Paso, Las Cruces, you know, right near the border, where the word translation has meant for many years someone translating the newsletter that's going to parents from English to Spanish or vice versa, and it's all chopped up because it was someone who didn't have the background to do it. And I think for marketing purposes, maybe, you know, we could possibly modify where we need to. Yeah,
good point.
I'm right with him, and that word translated, even if we decide to keep that word, I think having some words around that, high quality, because again, because I think for certainly here in Illinois, when we see that word, people think it's word by word.
Yeah,
you know, we just
that's what they
that
think.
word, and sentence structure is out the window.
Yeah,
and I know that's not what we're doing, but we can't fight against what the misunderstanding is about that. So again, I would vote for the transadapted because that's very clear. If we can't come to that conclusion, then something about high quality, but just that word translated by itself would be an issue for me and our people if we're not right there with them explaining that, because that is a bad word.
It is a bad word. Sorry.
No, it's okay. How lucky am I that we get to have this conversation? So something that is a little problematic is that these books are not translated by us. So we don't oversee the translation, right? So because they are published and we distribute books from many other publishers. However, it is literature. So,
and it's going through the process of someone in-house reading them, you know.
You chose that.
yeah,
Heather, I think we're all.
So we're
talking
good with
about-
that. You know, we're happy. We know it's going to be quality.
mhm.
We just want to make sure that whenever, you know, someone gets a marketing piece, if it's a dual language teacher, that they are not just, oh, it's just translated. Let's keep on moving. I don't want that to happen.
Yep. Uh-oh, Kevin's on.
I just, everything that Woody else saying, I'm in complete agreement with. And I think, Heather, we're not asking you to change the what that you're doing,
Yep.
just the marketing message. And so I think we're asking you to put away the Girl Scout cookies and just do a little salesy, marketing of, we know what it is. We just need to be able to present it to the customer in a little bit of a different light. That's all we're saying.
Yep. I hear you guys. You know me and bullshit. I'm like, but I understand what you're saying. So I would love to share with you some other examples and then get your feedback.
Okay.
I'm good. Noted. I'm gonna put Caitlin on that one. Okay, so, but just to be clear, before we move on, so the book club collections are just our sole source. So they're just books written in Spanish by authors outside of the United States. That's what's in our book club collection. We're clear on that? Okay.
Love them.
Great. So then the next question goes to like how, when and how do these sets fit into our curriculum? One of the big lessons we saw from the Comprehensive Read Alouds is that every school district has a different curriculum. They're trying to align with their English curriculum. So our goal with these is to ensure that there is a variety of literature available for them in terms of themes. So I'll share with you in a little bit the themes, as well as they extend the concepts from the read alouds and are supported in the classroom libraries. So we want to make sure that that there is a harmony between all of our collections, right? And so as well as we want to make sure that schools have the tools to be able to meld that into their system. So we are transparent with the themes, and we'll share themes with people. The sharing of book titles we'll share, but we can't guarantee that all those titles are always going to be the same. And we also don't necessarily want people to get attached to it. And actually, that Bert brought up the fact of the expansion packs or the new books in the collections is exactly what we want to promote. And we want to promote that because the new titles that are out are more relevant to our kids, and they're, all of the great things about having a new title. So so we also want people to look at these collections for the themes, not necessarily the book titles within. And that's a similar pattern that we're moving along from the Comprehensive Read Alouds.
A quick question about that, Heather.
Go ahead.
In your messaging, is that pretty much like front and center that like a collection, while the quality of titles and the number of titles and the goal of the theme will be consistent, that the actual title selection might not be consistent every single time, except like I know you said last time that if a district buys 100 of this collection, those 100 collections will be the same, but if another district buys 50 of that same collection, those 50 might be a little bit different. Is that messaging pretty clear, or is that something that we need to kind of roll into those conversations?
Yeah, you know what, Sean, that's a good question. I'd have to look at the descriptions because like, I know 2 iterations ago, it was definitely in the descriptions, even on the website. But now the latest ones, now that you mention it, I'm not as certain that that's true. And yeah, so you know me, I don't like to, I like to be upfront with everyone. So I do want to make sure that that is there. But also that's another tricky wording thing. So,
Right. In
Yep.
conversations, it's no problem. It's just if sort of like with the translated, transadapted, like if they get their hands on any marketing materials that's not accompanied by a conversation, to be able to like sort of make that clear, it could be a sticking point like a little bit down the line.
Yep.
So I'm very familiar with that idea of rotating titles.
Oh, are you? Are you? That's why I love having my book source friends around. You guys get it, right? We want to work with literature. It's something. The other piece of this that I did want to highlight in our conversation about how and when is we also are not very prescriptive about how exactly book clubs are used. And I'm going to show you some of the tools, because telling you exactly when you teach a book club, I'm not going to prescribe that to you. It's something that we want to make sure that teachers are prepared to be able to know which students are ready to be in book clubs, which students are not ready. If they're not, who needs more support, who needs less support. And so that's why the gradual release of responsibility is front and center in this question of when and how do we use book clubs. As well as you can see this visual, the book clubs are a time when students are together with their peers. It's not teacher led. That heart at the what are those tables called?
What are the what called?
The table that you do your guided reading group at. What's it called?
The kidney shaped table?
The kidney shaped table. Thank you. I thought kidneys, but then I was like, am I thinking of Vegas? No. Okay.
The other thing, let's just talk about book clubs for just a second.
Okay.
The book clubs, according to Faust-Manel, and again, I have to, Faust-Manel leads us because we sell more of that than anybody else, or any other companies. But the book clubs are chosen by the students. The teacher is going to present these books, and then kids will choose those books based on what they want to read about.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not leveled, they are about student choice. Now, when Gay and Irene talk about their choices in book clubs, they say that some kids can either read those independently or listen to a reading of that, in an auditory kind of way.
Right.
So one of the things that we might want to think about is the books that you've chosen, are any of those available somewhere else in an audio version? Or is the teacher having to read that, to the kid or whatever? But that's just, again, Faust-Manel do not give them, they just say that it's about the conversation, and that books could be read independently or could be listened to, and you figure that out on your own. So just sort of be aware of, are the books that you are putting in the book clubs, are they available anywhere else in an audio version?
The immediate answer is no, they are not. What we're doing to address that is the book clubs will also be available in digital, so that we can do add-ons like the audio.
Okay.
Because that makes it just much easier. But no one has CD players in their classrooms anymore, right? So there was one other thing Bert said. Oh, the choice. Yeah, student choice. Let me show you what that means when we actually look at what are the book club collections. So the book clubs include chapter books for 2nd through 5th grade and picture books. So there's a combination, especially in the upper grades. I have today for you an example of just 1st grade. So you'll see just picture books. Again, they're written in Spanish by Latin American authors. and they're grade level books divided into themes. So it's a large band of a reading level. The content's appropriate for that grade level. Just to keep that in mind. Just what Bert said, they're not leveled books. So I want to show you an example. People asked me before to, like, you know, if we could look at them. I'm going to share with you a first grade collection, and this is in the first grade collection. There's only 4 sets, and the themes are poetry, expressing yourself, resiliency, and cooperation. So there's 4 sets. There's 4 titles per set. This at the time this is our first iteration of this product. So I do have some questions around actual number of students in a classroom. I'm very used to there only being no more than 20 kids in a first grade classroom, but I know that is not the norm across the United States. So I'll take your feedback on that as well, if you guys have other comments, or you know, your customers have other comments about that. So I'm going to pause the presentation. I'm going to move over to the boxes. So this is where it gets a little awkward, you know. Okay. All right. All right. So I've got some boxes here that Brenda so kindly prepared for me. And just like with the other ones, when we open the boxes, you do want to use, you want to cut the tape. And don't be too afraid. We do have cardboard that always protects our books because they're precious, right? Just like with the comprehensive read alouds, there's a packet inside with really important information. The information has your pack list. So on that pack list is the individual titles listed. It's very important for you, for district administrators to keep track of. We also have these in digital formats that we can share. Oftentimes administrators ask us to email those to them so that they have a copy. It's in a PDF. It's so yeah, we can always share those with them as well. And it lists each individual title. In addition, it directs people to the, oops, sorry guys, I unplugged apparently. In addition, it directs people to the website and the resources on the website. I will go over those today. It gives an example of a discussion guide, which I'll also go over. Exit slips, and then stickers. There's also stickers for people to put on their books. Yep. Bert, you got me trained well. All right, so I have over here then some bins that are different colors. I'm a color person. I want to separate my books by a color. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, because the collection I'm going to show you today is the first grade cooperation. Because it's the beginning of the school year, we need to talk about cooperating, and we really want to start off with that one so that we can actually have a conversation. So I'm going to take my books, I'm going to separate them out. There's 6. Fortunately, a lot of them are already packed in 5s. And then here's my 6. And then one of the example book I'm going to show you today is La Rebelión de los Lápices de Colores. So this book here is about, well, it's about this girl Dee Dee and how her pencils aren't very cooperative, and they do eventually learn to work together, which I think is a great book to have a conversation with kids about. They love the colorful illustration. They love the concept of crayons. It's very familiar concept. It feels very real to them, especially at this age in first grade. So it's a really outstanding story. Each book comes with a discussion guide. I should probably show this on the digital so it's easier for you to see, but it's separated into 3 sections, just like our read alouds. So that pattern of 3s, before, during, and after, we're reinforcing that in our book club time, and we're not complicating it for our students. We just want to reinforce that. What we want to complicate is, in the part that is different, is what they're discussing and how they're doing that. We encourage them that while they're reading, before they read their book, we state objectives. Your objective is to talk. Your objective is to do the reading and be prepared. And then it gives a resumen del libro. So this is something that the students can share with each other, talk with each other about. And then they will go through and talk about durante la lectura, during the lectura. The big idea is cooperation. That's the focus. There's a question for them to focus on. It is how do the main characters cooperate to achieve their goal together? And so that is the main question that they're going to focus on throughout their discussion, and they really want to answer that by the end of the discussions. And then it gives them some ideas, some sentence prompts, some questions to think about while they're reading. And the goal is for students to read their stories independently, as Bert said, maybe in pairs, maybe on their own, or you know, it would be ideal if they could listen to it as well. But while they read, they want to think about these questions, and they want to just put notes into their books. We don't want to make that overly complicated. We don't want them to have to write a log or do something like that. I just read an article about that, but we want them to just make Post-its so that it reminds them, and then when they come to group, feel prepared. Kids love this because it also makes them feel like adults, right? Like they are the teacher and they love those opportunities. So, and then as a teacher, you want to make sure that the space is ready for them and the time is clear of when they meet and how they meet. So that is one example of a book and some of the resources that go with it. Ideally, each of our bullet, and then at the end of it, each person's gonna create a exit ticket. And on that exit ticket, ideally, we'd like to have the main question on it for each book. At this point, it's not like our data isn't organized enough for us to be able to do that, but that's our eventual goal. So for now, it's just a blank template, but teachers are welcome to organize that however they'd like. We also have provided for teachers, I didn't print it out. We also have provided for teachers a guide for discussion and how they can, the norms for discussion, as well as a rubric for them to assess that discussion. And that rubric can be given to students to assess within their own group, as well as teachers to be able to assess. In an ideal world, a teacher has the time to walk around and listen to the groups and take note. And so they can give some feedback to the students so that they have more time for that conversation. The goal with this is to find books they love. The goal with this is to have conversations about them, promote that social activity, and to be excited about reading. And that's why we want to provide some simple tools for them to be able to do that. Let me go back. Bert, did you want to make a comment?
No, I mean, again, I don't think there's any issue with a total of 16 titles, because again, that would just say 1 week, you're going to do a couple of days with these 4 groups, and then maybe next week or 2 weeks later, you can bring in and do like 2 or 3 more groups with another group. So I think the 16, I don't think having just the 4 different books within a text set is a big issue at all. Because again, most teachers would not be able to do that many groups all at once. In fact, we tell people that maybe you just want to do one group at a time. And so having 4, I don't think is an issue at all, because again, it's not going to be it's not an every day or every week kind of thing. We're going to spend a few, like this week we'll do, this group is not going to do guided reading for a couple of days or 3 days, and we'll do a book club with you all, and then another week later. So I think, and this could be, again, you're going to add more titles and more themes throughout the year and even next year, but I think the four themes with 4 books in each year is a great start.
For first grade, and then it does increase as we move on. So,
okay, great.
Yep. So, is that on my next slide? Nope. Okay, so sorry, I didn't put it on my slide. So as we move on, there's more books within each theme. 4th and 5th grade have 5 themes, and within each there are 5 titles. So they increase as we move up. Let me show you that on the website. So here is the resource page for the book clubs. You can click on these different grade levels to see the collections, just like before, but it literally brings the titles together. And then the themes are right here. See collections by themes. You can see there's 2 themes in kindergarten. I was really hesitant to create any kindergarten collection, but I did. We've got 4 in first grade, we've got 4 in second, we've got 4 in third, and then we've got in fourth grade 5 and fifth grade 5. So there are our different themes. One of the tools that we don't have created, and I was just looking to see if we will create it, I'm not sure how needed it is to show the correlation with books from the read alouds and themes from the read alouds. I was thinking that would be a very handy tool for our curriculum ninjas, people like that, as they move into it. So that is one other thing. And then there's a link to the discussion guides. I didn't mention when I was pulling the books out, the discussion guides and the summaries of the books are also important for the teachers to be able to have to do their quick book talk with the class so that they can choose the book, or the group, so that they can choose the book that they prefer.
Now, going back to the packaging, you're not offering and you're not providing the plastic tubs, are you?
No.
Okay, all right.
No. It's just a suggestion for how I would organize it. When they come, they will be organized like second grade. There's 2 boxes. There'll be 2 boxes because fourth and fifth there will be 3. So the collections will be together in the boxes. What am I forgetting? So yeah, this is the basic outline of it. You can see here there's six copies of each title. There's a discussion guide. There's the conversation norms, and then there is an exit ticket. Yeah, that is the basics for them, and the resources available to teachers. As we move on, we will develop more tools, I'm sure. We'll have more suggestions. Our goal, like I also said, is to move this into the digital format so that we can also push out activities to the kids. Not necessarily for them to read the book digitally, perhaps, but also just to make sure that it's more in sync, as well as the audio option.
You know, seeing that about the teacher guides and thing, Georgia Hurd, who's a professor at University of Michigan, is just asking for teachers to respond to a little survey or something, talking about looking at, using printed teacher materials, which has been the traditional things, and using online teaching support. And she's conducting a little study right now, was asking for people to respond to sort of the difference in looking at teacher support online versus printed teacher support. I think we'll find that teachers are very comfortable with the online support.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Bert, what we found as well is they not only do they want the online support, but they also want it to be editable so that they can drop it into their Google Doc or their Seesaw or whatever online tool they're using. And even as people are back in person, they're still using those tools for independent work because it's incredibly efficient. All right, well, that is your introduction. Please email us. Please contact us to find out more, sales@booksellsur.com. We're happy to meet with you and talk it through, see how it fits and melds with your program. The other piece of this that I hope you heard was how reading is a social event. And we at Booksell Sur want to facilitate that social opportunity for your students, for your classrooms, and to support the teachers in making it a more social event. So many great books to read, so many great things to talk about. We hope you enjoy, and we're always here to bring you new books. So hope you open a book today and open yourself up to a whole new world. Take care, friends. We'll talk to you soon.